What is going on, guys? It's the Mad Dragon. Welcome back to another Team of the Week video. In fact, it will be the final Team of the Week video for the Six Nations 2022. Of course, now over. France have won their Grand Slam. It was a really interesting weekend of rugby. Italy getting their first win in so long in the Six Nations, which was so nice to see. France winning a Grand Slam. Big disappointment for Ireland not managing to steal that one away. Lots to talk about, a lot of different players to run through. It's been a weird Team of the Week. Of course, I'll chuck the rules on screen. We do run the Team of the Week slightly differently on this channel. We're not just following all the stats and stuff. It's all based on who actually impressed me live in the game. And some of these teams have been so hard to pick from this week. I've got players in each position where they're almost interchangeable. Everyone's Team of the Week is going to be very, very different this week. And for the first time ever in a Team of the Week, I have a position with no names. There's no names written down at all, so I don't really know what I'm going to do when I get to that point. I guess I'm just going to have to make it up as I go. And then, of course, we'll talk about the fantasy results, because there's been some big, big turning points. So, starting off with the Team of the Week, starting off in the loosehead department. I had 3 names written down for the loosehead this week, and this was one of the ones where I thought people will have different ones depending on your own thoughts. I thought Fischetti did really well for Italy. I thought there were some brilliant moments from him with some fantastic turnovers. More than anything was what I was seeing, just getting over the ball, just stopping Wales from having any sort of attack when he was left alone with the defensive work. I thought he did really well. Cian Healy, I thought did well for Ireland as well. He's got a good number of caps on him now. He's got a bit of age behind him, but he's still playing well every single week. But this week, I thought he did really well. But the guy I'm going for this week is going to go to Schoeman, who I thought played fabulously from a Scotland team that wasn't necessarily firing on all cylinders for good chunks of that game. I thought Schoeman was pretty good throughout it. Had some fantastic little line breaks. You know, he's a big man. He runs pretty quickly. He made some really good meters, got himself over for a try, which was really nice to see. I thought he played really well. So for me, I've gone for Schoeman. Into the hooker department then. Another one, again, this will be totally different for everyone else this week. I thought Nicotera, again, for Italy, played really well. The front row for Italy actually played quite well. Just generally in terms of open play, thought it was really well. The 2 names I've got written down here, I'm going to pick the one no one else is going to pick, I think. So the first name I had written down was Sheehan. Of course, Dan Sheehan had a really good game for Ireland. He's been rather instrumental when it came around to the fantasy. But he had a good game, just attacking. He was very aggressive, got himself over for a try as well, which was really nice. It was pretty good in terms of, you know, carrying the ball and taking it into tackles and stuff. Nice work from him. But the player I'm going for is Dewi Lake, who I thought had a phenomenal game. Again, a Wales team that looked so lacklustre and tired on the pitch. Thought he played really well, got himself over the whitewash as well. Thought he was doing incredibly well. Just in open play again, the breakdown situation now, we're seeing these front rowers get more involved in terms of getting jackals and stuff. Had some fantastic turnovers himself, good with running play and getting himself a try. The line-out situation way better than when Ryan Elias was in charge of the line-out. So for me, I'm going for Dewi Lake. On to the tight head shirt, another 3 names written down here. Tyke Furlong was the first one I had written down. I thought he was pretty good, to be fair, just in terms of his running play again every week. I seem to have given him the praise for the same thing every week, but I thought he had a good game. Xander Fagerson, a similar reason that I was thinking about some of the other players in terms of the breakdown situation. There was a couple of really nice plays in the breakdown situation for Xander Fagerson, really stopping a couple of key moments for Ireland in that game. I thought he played well. But the player I've gone for is going to be to Antonio, who, just in terms of that scrummaging, a platform that England displayed last week so well against Ireland, even when they're a man down, they're happy to take on that scrum. I thought Antonio was just dominating Ellis Genge every time in that scrum. He's a big man. He carried the ball well. He took it into the impact. Could argue he didn't play a great deal of the game. I think he only played about 50 minutes of the game, but I thought he had so much impact on that scrum that gave France a platform to help them launch from. So for me, I'm going for Antonio. On to the locks. 4s. As slightly less players, I've got Tadhg Beirne was one player that I thought stood out to me. He's been a bit quieter this year than he was in the Six Nations last year, but I thought he had a good game against Scotland again. Just the general performance is quite nice. But the name I have gone for and underlined is, of course, Cameron Vogue, who was awesome. Again, he's had a really good tournament. I've seen they've already been talking now about player of the tournament, and I don't think he's mentioned. I actually think he's done really well. Hasn't necessarily been in my team of the week a great deal of times. Has given away a few penalties here and there, but I thought in that game against England, I thought he was absolutely instrumental. Really good at trying to get through tackle breaks. The offloading was good. The line-out support from him, every time the ball was going to him, it was absolutely fine. He was getting involved with the England line-outs, trying to disrupt some of them. Thought he played really well. So for me, I've gone for Vogue. On to the 5 shirt then. Only one name written down here for me this week. I did try and have a bit of a look. There weren't a lot of 5 standing out for me. So the name I have written down here is Grant Gilchrist, who I've been saying every week is putting in some hard graft. And just isn't making it into my team of the week every week because someone's just pipping him. Normally, Rootser, to be fair, he's been playing well. But Gilchrist against that Ireland team, I thought played fantastically. I just thought he's playing out of his skin. He not only is doing that nitty-gritty work, but he's also taking that extra step up. Being involved with the lineouts was good. I thought again, the breakdown situation from him, the tackle rate. There were so many tackles from that Scotland team in that game. I thought he was absolutely leading the charge, not letting anyone stop him. So for me, I've gone for Grant Gilchrist. On to the back rows then, in terms of the first flanker. Again, one name written down for me here, Francois Cross, who I'm sure a lot of people will be going for. A lot of people will be very happy to have seen him go for his try in that game. I just absolutely fantastic game from him, actually. Now, they do a lot of interchanging in that France team between who plays that sort of flanker position. I think Francois Cross is awesome. He's keeping very talented players out of that side, getting himself over for a try. He's got a little head cap. I saw a couple of the Sky News channels thought that Aldreet had got the try because he wore the scrum cap. No, Francois Cross, very, very good player. Generally on the day, was just brilliant all around the park. One name for me goes to Cross. Over to the other flanker then, and 3 names written down for me here. First one was Navidi. Again, in a bit of a quiet Wales. It's so weird to talk about. Wales got 3 tries, and yet they felt like they weren't really doing a lot. But I thought Navidi was doing well in the areas we know Navidi does well in. Again, it's the tackle, the breakdown, the jackal route. That's the thing you know Navidi for. Thought he did well in that. Sam Underhill coming into this side out of absolutely nowhere for me, but I thought he had a brilliant game. It was just tough. That England team worked very hard to try and get involved with this France team, but there was certainly some very, very good play from Sam Underhill. I can see a couple of people maybe picking him this week. But for me, I've gone for Josh van der Fleer, who I think might be the second week on the bounce. I can't remember if I picked him last week. But Josh van der Fleer is just going from strength to strength. I think he's just cemented that 7 shirt now. I don't think anyone's taken that away from him, that Ireland shirt. Got him over the try line as well, which is nice to see from Josh van der Fleer. You know how hard he runs at the line. Will always give you those points as soon as you get him close to the line. Tough man to stop. And for me, that one goes to Van der Fleer. On to the 8 shirt. 2 names written down for me here. First one that stood out to me was Matt Fagerson. Again, it's a defensive reason I chose Matt Fagerson. He had, I think, 3 turnovers, all of which were in Scotland's own 22 while Ireland are on the charge. You know, that is a huge turning point in some of those games. What could that scoreline have been had Matt Fagerson not been on the field? Thought he played absolutely brilliantly. But for me, I think maybe again for the second week on the bounce, goes to Gregory Aldreet. He's just a monster, and he's in every single breakdown. He's jackling constantly. He is the absolute used crash ball carrier. He takes 2 men to take him down. He's making hard yards, good meters. Gave a nice little try assist after having broken through the line. Pops it off to Dupont to get over for their try. That really sort of sealed out the game. Thought he played well all throughout the game. So for me, that 8 shirt goes to Aldreet. On to the scrum half shirt. 3 names written down here. Of course, Dupont. Like a lot of people probably have Dupont down. He got man of the match in that game. People are arguing he's going to be player of the tournament. I thought he had a fine game. Thought he did pretty well, to be fair. You know, got himself that try. I thought he ran the game pretty well from his position. Had good conversations with the ref as a captain, which is nice to see. So he's definitely down there as a name for me. To me, it was between 2 people. Again, I think this could go either way. First one was Callum Brayley. I really wanted to put Callum Brayley in here. I thought he had such a good game. They really took that game to Wales, and Callum Brayley was one of the main people involved in that with some of those box kicks. I really, really wanted no one to outshine Callum Brayley. But for me, I'm going to go for Jameson Gibson Park, who just, had he not been there this week, it would have been Callum Brayley. But Jameson Gibson-Park, so quick on the ball. The recycle ball for Ireland was so good this week. The speed he was getting it back out. Couple of penalties, took the tap and go, made huge meters. Couple of real nice sniping runs, just breaking through the tackles, leaving it for every other player in his wake, and he had to chase back for him. Thought he was absolutely brilliant this game. Again, it could be a name to put down as tournament performer, to be fair. Jameson Gibson-Park hasn't really put a bad game in. He had a couple of bad box kicks earlier on in the tournament, but for me, he's played well all tournament. So for me, I'm going for Gibson-Park. On to the fly half, which is a bit of a tricky position because I don't think fly halves necessarily did too much this week. It was mainly a lot of forward-based work or trying to spread out to the wings just to save them. I have 3 names written down, even though I don't think fly halves necessarily did a lot. First one was a Garbisi. They needed the points. They needed to have a reliable kicker, so Garbisi was certainly managed to do that. Getting him the winning conversion was always good. I thought he managed the game well. But the reason I haven't gone down the Garbisi is because Padavani took a couple of kicks, who I thought was, again, also brilliant. So I haven't gone for Garbisi. Marcus Smith, I thought, trying to organise that England attack relatively well. There was a couple of really nice kicks, but there were a couple of things that just let me down for him. There was a couple of slightly off moves, and a couple of not that great passes, a couple of off kicks. So for me, I haven't gone for Marcus Smith. Leaves me with Johnny Sexton. So I'm going to go for Johnny Sexton here. I don't think he played, enormously, brilliantly necessarily, but he certainly played a good game. It's what you want from him. He got his kicking ratio down. There was good points being ticked over on the board. I thought there was good management. There was good distribution from him. Scotland certainly tried to close down Johnny Sexton as much as possible, but there were a couple of those nice little double pump passes that got him over. So for me, I'm going for Sexton. On to the left wing, and 2 names written down here. First one was Josh Adams, who I thought had a good game. He got the Man of the Match award, then gave his medal over to Capuzzo, which was really nice to see from him. I thought Josh Adams had a good game. I thought he was quite quiet in the first half. He managed to get over for that try. He had a couple of really nice runs. But one of the things that let me down for Josh Adams was just the number of penalties he gave away. Silly penalties that weren't really necessary. It was at least 3 that just could have been avoided that he did almost completely on purpose. Don't know why. So that's for me is why I haven't gone down the Josh Adams route. So for me, it goes to Monty Ioane. It's going to be a good week here for a couple of the Italian players mentioned. I thought Ioane had a really good game. Absolutely opened up the Wales defence at multiple occasions. They were really targeting the space they could find. He had that fantastic run from behind his own try line, getting round Nick Tompkins and Alan Wynne-Jones, running all the way down the field, kicking it on. The chase kick from him was really good when it came to Callum Brayley's box kicks as well. Thought he had a good game overall. So for me, I've gone for Ioane. On to the inside centre, and this is where it gets real tricky for me because for the first time maybe ever in the Team of the Week history, I have no names written down. I don't have anyone inside centre, so I'm going to have to sort of make this up as I go along. I didn't think Marine was necessarily too good. I didn't see a lot from him. Zanon made more of an impact, to be honest. When he came on from the bench in that second half, he came on very early in that second half. And to be fair, I think Zanon did way more than Marine in that game. So maybe I'm leaning towards Zanon there. I thought Halaholo was quiet for all of his 40 minutes that he played. Nick Tompkins came on in that second half. Didn't really see a lot from him. I thought there was bad closure from him on that try line that allowed Ioane to go past. So I wouldn't be looking towards Nick Tompkins either. Sam Johnson had a couple of moments, maybe. There was a couple of points, but then again, I don't think there was anything too spectacular. Mark Bennett, again, not doing a lot for me. Bundyaki, all right, did a couple of crash balls, but nothing really opening up the game. Henry Slade felt quiet. There was a couple of nice kicks, but I certainly think Joe March had absolutely outshone him in that centre partnership by miles. Wasn't seeing a great deal from Slade. And then Dante, who was in my fantasy team, so I was keeping an immensely close eye on him. I don't think he had a very good game, to be honest. I know he's in the sort of Team of the Week for if you're following any of the Guinness fantasies. He missed 3 tackles. He only made 7 tackles in the game, and he missed 3 of them. Or 4 of them even. I was trying to look at the stats the other day. Made a couple of meters, but for most of the game just seemed to be supporting in rucks. I don't really know why he wasn't used better. Thought his defence was relatively bad. So I have no one. I have no one. I'm sure there are potentially some names I missed out there, but there was no one there that stood out to me. So the only person who I think I mentioned there in any sort of positive way was Xanon. So it looks like we're going to go for Marco Xanon. But yeah, a bit of a weird one for me not to have that. I think he came on, he made some nice impacts in the game. Certainly added a bit of an attacking threat. I don't think Marine was particularly anywhere in that one. So for me, I guess I'm going for Xanon. On to the outside centre then, where there was certainly more options, shall we say. Starting off, I thought Watkin had a good game. Watkins actually played well for Wales. Again, the Wales team hasn't shot well this Six Nations, but Owen Watkin was one of the names I called right in the first game of the Six Nations. Why is Owen Watkin not in this side? He's come in since, and he's just been really, really good in that 13 shirt. Got himself another try, which is always nice to see. He's been getting on that scoreboard as well, which is so nice from him. Thought he had a good game. Another one, as I mentioned in the inside centre one, was Joe Marchant. I thought he played really well playing on the outside of Henry Slade. I gave it a bit of stick, this choice. I didn't think it was going to work very well. Certainly found a lot of room getting around Dante all game. Joe Marchant had a really good game. I can maybe actually see a couple of people going for Marchant here. Certainly thought he had a good game. But the name I've gone for is going to go to Ficou, who just had another brilliant week. Attacking, got himself a try. He was very good with the ball in hand. Defensively, I know he's sort of looked at as their sort of defensive captain, but he is so good in defence. Every single tackle was clinical. If someone else had made the tackle but wasn't taking him to ground, he was being the second man in on the tackle. Had himself a nice little turnover as well in there. So, I just think across the park, really, really good game for me. So for me, I've gone for Ficou. On to the right wing. Probably the most names written down for right wing, to be honest. But everyone had little bits. The first name I wrote down was Zamet. Zamet was having a really good first half. Thought he was making some really good meters, making some good room, getting around a few players. They were using him as a bit of a centre, using him through some of those set pieces. I thought that was working really well. But then got very quiet in that second half, so for me fell off a little bit. Darcy Graham doing almost the identical thing, having a really good first half, and then just sort of phasing out later on in that second half. Didn't really see a lot from Darcy Graham later on. So the two names it was between for me was Padavani and Freddie Stewart. This is going to be another one of those. I can absolutely see people going either way. Padavani, I thought, had a really nice game being moved to the wing from fullback. I thought it was a big call. Did get himself over for a try, which was, fair enough. However, almost all of that work was done by Capuzzo, but definitely useful to have him moving on to the boot. Got a couple of really nice long-range kicks in a game that ended with very few points difference. That was absolutely a necessity, so I can absolutely understand why a lot of people might go for Padavani in this one, because I was very close. But for me, I'm going to go for Freddie Stewart, who had a real big impact on that game. Again, him moving to wing from fullback I thought was a weird call, but I thought he did really well. Some of the high up and unders that he was kicking, returning his own kicks that he was doing so well collecting in the air. Thought he showed great competition, great speed, made ways through some of the nice gaps he saw opening up, got himself over for a try. Thought he played really well. So for me, it's between the two of them, but for me, I'm going to lean slightly more towards Freddie Stewart. And then finally, on to the fullback position. This, to me, is the most contested area of high calibre players. So I've got three names written down, and any of these three could be in. In all honesty, it'll come down to your own bias of who you think is going to go in. So the three names are Capuzzo, Kirin and Jaminet. And it could be any of the three of them, to be fair, all for different reasons. Kirin was mainly for the backfield play. I thought he did so well just covering in that backfield. He was so good on terms of the high ball, the retention, managing to get good counter runs. I thought he did really, really well in that game. I can absolutely see why people were going to go for Kirin. Jaminet, who finally started kicking the 1 week I don't pick him in the fantasy league. He started getting his kicks down. That was useful. So Jaminet, again, a lot of the same reasons as Kirin. The backfield cover was good. The counter-attacking run was good. Being able to shift towards the wing when he needed him to. I can absolutely see people going for Jaminet there as well. But for me, yeah, I have to give it to Capuzzo. I just think what an outstanding player. He didn't have a bad game, throughout the entire game, to be honest. He was quite quiet, mainly because Wales weren't doing a lot to involve the fullback for that first half. But it was the second half where he just lit up, playing the ball from out the back of your own try line, managing to stay up while he's being tackled by two men, get the offload away for Ioane to run it all the way back down the wing was impressive enough. His general running play was absolutely brilliant. And then, of course, as everyone will be talking about now, that move at the end, managing to get through, I don't know, about 4 players, making his way all the way down the wing, doing all of the hard work, and then being aware enough and selfless enough to pass the ball inside to Padavani just to finish off with that try. People are still calling that the Capuzzo try, by the way, which I find really weird. He did not score the try, but everyone remembers the run was so good. Everyone keeps calling it his try because he absolutely did the work for it. So for me, all day long, it has to go to Capuzzo. I was just so impressed. A young lad getting in here. Can't wait to see what his Italian career evolves into. And there we have it, guys. That is going to be my team of the week for the final round of the Six Nations. But like I've said every week, make sure you do drop down your teams in the comment section. This week especially, really tough. Can imagine there'll be a lot of different calls based on your own team. So do put them down because I really enjoy reading through them. And with that out of the way, we of course need to talk about the Fantasy League, which has had some big results come in. Now, going into this final round, I was worrying a little bit that it wasn't going to go my way. I had 3 players that didn't get picked through injury or through other instances. I had Cuthbert, I had Thomas Williams ready to go for my Wales team, both of which didn't play. James Ryan going out with his injury, which I had to try and replace. I had 4 Scotland players I had to try and shift. Trying to change all 7 with only 4 substitutions was difficult, and I tried to do the best I could, and I don't think it managed to come off. So starting out with the actual round, we can see that David Wakefield takes the top spot for the final round on 176.5. Doing well there. Dan Carnruck coming in on 172. Teucher close on 171. Roger of Wales on 165.5. Going down the list, and I'm all the way down there on 159. Now, I did finish higher, but Superbrew being Superbrew does update the scores over the next 24 hours, and apparently basically every player that I picked just started dropping points. I don't know why. That's just how it works in the world of Superbrew. So in terms of the final results on the leaderboards, we can see that Dan Carnruck has overtaken me at the end. I've been in the lead for 4 weeks, and right at the end it goes wrong. Dan Carnruck managing to take it over there on the 914.5, me there on 909. We were the only 2 to break the 900 marker. Teucher and Mattarello having a close battle there for 3rd and 4th on 888 and 880. And then the points sort of spreading out as they go down there. Dan, I believe... Oh, no, to be fair, Bowie also had 18 tries. It's astonishing how much even just having the top try scorers can impact the actual results. If you even with the same number of tries, you can see the difference in points difference just from picking the rest of the team. The fantasy is so different. I was having a few messages between myself and Dan as the games were going on, and we saw the final results. When the final game ended between France and Scotland, we did actually go on Superbrew and find out that the points difference between us was actually 0.5 points, which was, it's one decision. So after Superbrew's done its recalculation, a couple of players have moved points. It has now spread out to something like 5 points, is it now? 5.5 points. So to be fair, I don't think it would have mattered what I did. I don't think I could have done anything in that final round. I just had to try and hold it together, and I just couldn't get it. I think Dan Sheehan was one of the big influences for Dan Carnruck. I think he's been in the team most weeks, and I think he's played really well. So I hand the torch and the crown of the Six Nations champion over to Dan for this year. I have been the holder now for 2 years in a row, and Dan will be taking it over from here, so we'll all have some big competition next year. But thank you to everyone that did get involved in that fantasy. It's the most players we've ever had involved in the fantasy. There was something like 26 players involved. I think last year we had like 13, so we nearly doubled in size, which is awesome. There's been so many people involved, which has been so nice. So thank you to everyone that has been involved in that one. And then looking at the Predictor Series, where I didn't manage to make a comeback. would have been a big surprise if I made a comeback there. But in terms of the round, Lord Nicholas was not happy with just being in first. They decided, we'll have more points. Give me more points. So Lord Nicholas out there again on the top score on 4.33. Absolutely brilliant there. Kirin comes in on 3.5 in second place, and a bit of a special mention to Kirin, who was the only person to pick that Italy would beat Wales, which was incredible. So they got full points for that one. And not only were they the only person in the actual Fantasy League to pick that Wales would win. I did actually check out the overall expectation, and they are one of 1% in the entire Super Brew who picked Italy to win. 99% of people playing Super Brew picked Wales to win across the entire platform, across the whole app. So what an incredible minority to be in there, Kirin. Absolutely brilliant pick from you there. And then where was I? I was all the way down in joint 6th with seemingly everyone on 2.5. And there's a bit of spreading out there. So in terms of the final results for the Predictor Series, Lord Nicholas stands just head and shoulders above everyone else. 23.33, the only one person to break the 20-point marker. Absolutely brilliantly. I can't remember off the top of my head who won the one last year. It might have been David. I think David might have been or was it Sambuca? It was one of the two of them. It wasn't me. I've never won one of these. So Lord Nicholas will be taking the crown for this year. Fantastically done from you. Absolutely. Just been winning week on week for some fantastic picks. It is incredibly close for second place. Poxy has stolen it right at the depth by 0.08 points away from Cersei 2 on the 19.58 versus 19.5. Very, very close there. So very well done to all three of you. I came in a respectable 4th. Let's call it a respectable 4th on my 18.25, followed very closely by Maddie on 18. And then the points slowly begin to differentiate. Now, I think the past wins we've had, there's too many names to remember now. David has certainly, I think, won one before, and I think Sam Buka has won the Six Nations one before, I know. You can see there in 8th and 11th respectively. So all of us are beginning to notice now the difference when we have new players in. It's beginning to make some of these decisions way, way more tough. But a massive thank you to everyone who has got involved with the Fantasy and the Predictor Series. It's so much fun to be involved with some subscribers. I've been seeing you guys dropping it down in the comments, talking about it, how it's been going on. People get involved is so much more fun, and the more people that do, it just makes it more and more exciting. Looking forward to doing next year's Six Nations. We'll be doing the same. We'll probably be running some of the Predictor Series for the summer and the autumn tour again. They don't do the Fantasy for that one, so the Fantasy is a 1 yearly thing until we get round to the World Cup. Wait until we get to the World Cup. Imagine what that thing's going to be. But when it gets round to them, make sure you do invite all your friends, because the more people that get in, the more we all do enjoy it. So massive thank you to everyone who has joined in. I hope you've enjoyed this series, guys. I'll be doing a video probably at some point this week or next week, depending on when I finally get internet back, of a team of the tournament. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel just to keep up to date when all the latest videos come out. And if you're going to be sad that the Six Nations is over and you want to keep up to date with any form of rugby content, we'll probably be doing a lot of news around the summer and the autumn tours when they go on, as well as some stuff about Rugby 22, the new game that's come out, playing a bit of rugby. I'll be coming up with some different series and stuff to do on that, I'm absolutely sure, just to keep that rugby urge being tickled as you're going along. Just to keep you going throughout the year. But I hope you've all enjoyed today, guys, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.